Ready.
I'm Dwayne Jones from Southern Wells High School here at the 2019 Indiana State Small Engines Competition. And I was the judge for skills test number 1, the starting circuit of a lawnmower, where the students had to completely wire a small engine starting circuit from scratch. There's 2 circuits to this system. There's a low amperage circuit and a high amperage circuit, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do both of them. And when we did this competition, my opening statement to the students was the mower was in a fire. Owner was able to replace fuel lines and the light wiring, but your shop needs to replace the starter wiring. We have supplied each of the competitors with a digital voltmeter, a 12-volt test light for their use. We also supplied red and black wiring, and they were instructed to use as much as possible the proper color wiring in the proper parts of the circuit, red and black, positive and negative. Here on the switch, the positive input to the switch was supplied and clearly marked. Nothing in this conduit down below was relevant to the task they were given. And then they were instructed also to ask the judge before they made any connections to the battery for safety reasons. We're going to do the high amperage circuit first, demonstrate how it is. And in this schematic shown here, we have the starter motor, the solenoid, and the battery, and also the ground stud, which is a bolt mounted in this plate back here. So to build this portion of the circuit, we take a positive, or a red heavy gauge cable. We hook to the positive of the battery and to the positive of this relay, the starter relay. We take the other red heavy battery cable. We hook it to the other heavy lug on the relay and to the battery lug of the starter motor. At this point, we take one of the heavy black cables and we attach it to the starter motor frame to simulate the frame ground, where it grounds to the actual body of the mower. And then the other heavy wire hooks to the same point at the ground bolt to the negative. This completes the high amperage circuit of the mower. At this point, we would have to wire up the control side, or the low amperage circuit, which is illustrated in this schematic, which we have the battery, we have the switch, the safety switch, and the solenoid or relay here. So we take a small gauge red wire and we hook to the positive of the battery, and we go to the labeled hot or positive input of the key switch. Now at this point, there's 2 ways to find, what we have to do at this point is find our voltage output of the start circuit at the switch. Now there's 2 ways to do this. Before we hook power to it, we could take the ohm meter and we could ohm from this wire here, which we know is the input, and check each of these terminals in the crank position and see where there's continuity, and that'll indicate the crank output from the ignition switch. Or we can take a test light, hook to the negative of the battery, and our test light is broke. Through, I think, from rough handling, we've gotten, there, it's now, it's working. We've got a little bad connection there. And see, as we have power here, we turn the key to the crank position and we check each terminal in kind, and we see that the bottom one there is the output. So this is the crank output when we go to the crank position of the key. So at that point, we take a wire and we hook to this terminal, and we come to the start terminal, or to one of the terminals of the safety switch, like a seat switch, a clutch switch, whatever particularly it is. And another wire from the opposite terminal of the start switch, or the safety switch, to the positive input of the relay. And at that point, that completes the low amperage circuit. We have power through our key switch, to our safety switch, to the control of the relay. Then if we close the switch, the system operates.